Hello and welcome, bros. I am T Shroom, and you are tuned in to the first live crypto news of the trading day. I'm live every single weekday at 9 a.m., and I couldn't be happier to do it. I love these markets, and I do love my bros. Let's go ahead and jump on into the Bitcoin chart. Yes, Bitcoin. You might think we were going to go for Ethereum first. I'm actually going Bitcoin because I want to show you guys something. This is the Bitcoin chart right now, and it has really not left this regression trend that I could draw back on December 6th, starting in December 6th. And you can see that it wicked out of the regression trend. It even peaked out and closed a candle outside of this trend. But what I want to see is a blast off, right? It's what everybody wants to see. We really didn't get it quite yet, but will we get it? I don't know. Nobody knows. Of course, you can't predict price action. I do have a bias that I think the Bitcoin will be quite a bit higher here, leading into the halving in April. But we have a lot of time in between now and then. A lot can happen, right? One thing that's very bullish is that Bitcoin has not really broken down below this line of support right here, put in by these candlesticks from January 2nd and 3rd. That was around 44,900. Of course, it has wicked down below that quite a bit, a few times, especially if you've been day trading, you've been taking notice of that. But we haven't gotten a candle close below there. So if we do, that would be different. That would probably give us a recipe to go ahead and test the rest of the way down. I'll go ahead and take away this this regression trend, the rest of the way down to the midline of the Bollinger Band here at 3.69. Well, that's going to be the conclusion of my TA for Bitcoin. Let's check out Ethereum, because Larry Fink may be very, very much boosting the markets here for Ethereum this morning with some comments that he's made about seeing a lot of value in the ETF for Ethereum. Of course, I've been on record as saying that the Ethereum spot ETF is a little less likely than the Bitcoin spot ETF for getting passed. I have my reasons for that. Ultimately, I think it will be passed, but I will be less surprised if it isn't, right? So just something to keep in mind. However, I do think it will be passed, and I think that price is appropriately moving to the upside as a result of the narrative kind of shifting towards Ethereum ETF being passed. So we'll hear from Larry Fink. We'll take a look at what he said specifically here in just a minute. But taking a look here at the one daily chart, you can see that these green histograms are not slowing down at all. Let's actually go down to a little bit of a lower time scale to see, because I'm sure on a lower time scale they are slowing down. Yes, as you can see here, we've even dipped down into a time of actually red histograms here on the 1 hour. Got a bull cross, and now we could be seeing a next push higher as Ethereum on the 1 hour is pushing I think actually this wick here did push a little higher, so we've gotten a new high there even on lower time frames. But on the 1 hour, the candle body is closing right around 2,668 as of right now. Could be starting to form a cup and handle here. If Ethereum could come back down and dip, that would be bullish. Overall, though, just seeing bullish pressure generally on fundamentals and on the charts. Ichimoku here on the 1 hour. Let's actually go back out to the 4 hour and look at the Ichimoku. Get a little bit more data in there for us. Yeah, look at that. That's encouraging, isn't it? So since the 8th, Ichimoku for Ethereum on the 4 hour has been able to come up into that bullish zone, maintain for a good amount of time. It's dipped out as of today, but I expect we won't be seeing the zero line anytime soon. Of course, that's not financial advice. I can't predict the future, and we do have this midline of the Bollinger Band right back down at 2,500. So, Ethereum, I think you'll probably get a little bit of a better entry, but right now, I would be proven wrong to that. I think right now it is trying to push higher, trying to resume kind of its snuggled up state with this upper band of the Bollinger Band. I don't know that it'll get there. It's pretty bought at this point. We'll need another big push, but Larry Fink has delivered that big push. Will it be enough? We'll see. As the market opens at 9:30, we might just see a lot of volume go ahead and rush on into Ethereum to push it higher and break through some of the resistance it's been facing. Taking a look over at the MACD for Ethereum on the 4 hour still, you can see the bullish momentum is starting to wane a bit, but you did get a failed bear cross up at the top. Started to kind of cross over, and then that failed. So that's bullish generally, but I would say, guys, this is just looking a little overbought here for Ethereum. I think you probably need a retest of at least the midline of the Bollinger Band, if not back down here to some actual candlestick support at 2400. So that's the T-Stream take. Of course, if you want some more in-depth technical analysis, go ahead and jump on over to the Investing Bros YouTube channel, where you'll be able to see Tim's video today. He did a video on Ethereum, so you can go crazy with this one right here. And it was posted only 30 minutes ago, so the levels are still fresh. Get over there and get them while you can. Again, that's Tim, my partner here at the Investing Bros, doing some analysis for you guys, much more in-depth than what I just did. All right, I've got a couple of salad stories here before we get into our stake, but it's important to know as investors and traders that we are seeing some continued escalations in the Middle East. I'm not going to be the one to get into the details of that. There's plenty of other YouTubers, other media sources that'll get into the details. Ultimately, unrest, right? Escalation. So let's take a look on the effect that's having on oil prices. So as you can see, we have not seen $75 oil since 2023. 2023 spent a little bit of time in the 75 range, not very long though, but we did get a wick up into 75 on the 4-hour chart. So this is something to be aware of. It's even getting into the bullish zone of the Ichimoku on the 4-hour. Something to be aware of. Why? Because this has a pretty big impact on, not a pretty big, this has an enormous impact on inflation rates, right? So that's something we want to keep an eye on. Oil is the lifeblood of an economy. And, if oil's expensive, then it's expensive to make stuff. It's expensive to ship that stuff. So that's something we definitely want to pay attention to. Another salad-like story here. We got it right here. PPI month over month actually came in favorable. So, as oils now let me say one thing in for oil, because it has been playing along. This is kind of how I characterize it. It has been playing along through this narrative of inflation, right? It's needed to stay below 100, really, and it's been able to do that during the continued supply chain recovery from the pandemic. Oil prices got up to 120. Spending a little more time on oil because I haven't covered it in a couple weeks, right? But we are starting to see the oil has found support, significant support, at $68 per barrel, somewhere around there. So the fact that it's kind of ticking back up, testing some new local highs, right, of 75, is it's something to monitor. I wouldn't say I'm worried or even really cautious, right? It's just something to monitor as we do kind of see that commodity move in an unfavorable direction. All right, and I do have an interpretation here from a really good account that follows inflation. Mohammed said relief after yesterday's CPI inflation. U.S. PPI inflation came in better than expected at both the headline and core levels. Monthly increase of negative 0.1% and 0% respectively, taking the annual measure to 1% and 1.8. It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me if these levels prove to be local lows for the next few months. So that's good, right? That's very favorable. Again, taking a look at this print here, it came in at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. The core PPI was 0, forecasted at positive 0.1, and then the PPI month over month headline PPI is negative 0.1, forecasted for positive 0.1, right? So this is a bullish across the board. Bullish across the board. There's nothing here for the bears, really. And then you also get a speech today at 10 a.m. from a Fed member. So that's going to be our salad. Let's go ahead and get into our steak, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Investing Bros. I'm T. Shroom. In case you've never tuned in before, go ahead and consider subscribing if you've gotten value out of this video so far. And objectively, you have. Okay, I'm pretty sure that you have had 0 people explain to you the inflation prints today, especially as they relate to oil prices, right? So go ahead and consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it if you did, and absolutely, if you have not smashed those like buttons all over YouTube. If you haven't smashed every like button that you've seen videos of today, go back and like all those videos, especially mine. All right, here we go. Mr. J saying, morning crew, 100 shroom. I love it. Also, I think that Mr. J got a fancy new blue badge today. Very, very cool. Congratulations to you, Mr. J. All right, let's see. C90FTW said, morning all. Gotta love it. And then Nancy Croy. Nancy Croy was the first chat of 2024. She might actually be getting tired of me saying that. I say it so often now. Said, "Good morning, bros. Good morning, all bros." All right, guys. So we're having some fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. It really is a pleasure. We've seen a couple historic days. We saw some record inflows, 3.5 billion inflows into Bitcoin ETFs yesterday. And then we've also had the passing of that Bitcoin ETF. Now, yesterday I kind of challenged you all to think, well, now the big question is, what is going to be that big dominating narrative in crypto? Because obviously the Bitcoin spot ETF has been the dominating narrative. What is going to be the new narrative that kind of steers prices overall? Historically, we've seen the Fed do it. Historically, we've seen China do it. China, famously banning Bitcoin altogether, Bitcoin trading and mining. Well, we've started to see a thaw of that, and that thawing is starting to pick up as we've seen headlines around Hong Kong actually considering approving spot Bitcoin ETFs of their own. That would be very, very big. And then obviously you have the halving narrative coming up in April as well. But I think the one that is starting to steal the show, at least as of right now, is this one right here, as Larry Fink actually goes ahead and weighs in on the Ethereum spot ETF. So BlackRock CEO Larry Fink backs Ether ETF. Let's see what he has to say. He said, "I see value in having an Ethereum ETF." Great. Fink said in an interview with CNBC on Friday, "These are just stepping stones towards tokenization, and I really do believe this is where we're going to go." Now, of course, tokenization, very bullish, for the banks, right? The banks really want tokenization because it's more assets to sell. It's more things for their sales team to get on the phone and try to sell, and they make fees on those sales. Now, it's also more convenient for them because they can integrate a digital layer of representation for assets into computers, put simply, right? And that's just going to be easier for their systems, more lightweight, and less human beings you have to pay at least a minimum wage to, right? So that definitely not the end of that trend for those who plan on sticking around another 50 years. All right, let's get back into this article here. BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust IBIT was one of the several such products to make its trading debut in U.S. on Thursday after the SEC approved the funds on Wednesday. IBIT accounted for roughly $1 billion of the total $4.6 billion of trading volume that the ETFs collectively saw. So yes, this is the same BlackRock that issues the IBIT, Bitcoin spot ETF. So it's the very same BlackRock. Tokenization, in case you don't know, is a term for representing assets, like I said, real world or digital, in the form of a token on the blockchain. Fink believes tokenization can eliminate matters related to money laundering and other corruption, right? And also they'll be able to fire a bunch of people and make more money. So there you go. It's a boom for not just folks who are holding Ethereum. It's also going to be a boom for many industries, not just the banking industry, but certainly the banking industry has a lot to gain from tokenization. Ethereum, while it's far from the only blockchain that is capable of tokenizing assets, it is seen as kind of the front runner by the institutions and by Wall Street. So Ethereum, definitely not an asset that I plan on selling anytime soon, because I think it's got a lot of upside in 2024. Tim, again, just did a video over on our channel. You can go watch it. There's been a $10,000 prediction for Ethereum by the end of 24. That's right. One Ethereum equals $10,000. So let's, definitely go check out that video if you're interested in, how much money you would make if you were to buy Ethereum now. So very, very interesting content over there from Tim, and I expect nothing less. Well, that's about the extent of the Ethereum kind of excitement here. I'm seeing Tradefly in the chat. What is up, Tradefly? He said, I smashed the like button. Of course, Tradefly, one of the amazing hosts of Piper Academy, which is going to be going live here at 9:30. So only 15 minutes from right now, you can go see Tradefly live, and he's in the chat right now. So give him a shout out, tell him what's up, and make sure you tune into Piper Academy here in just about 15 minutes. I've got a clip here for you I want to play as we kind of wrap up our Ethereum segment and head back into Bitcoin, because just days ago we had one of the most historic moments, not just for Bitcoin, but for mankind, right? As the world returns as the financial world returns back to the gold standard, that is the digital gold standard. Of course, it hasn't really sunk in yet that that's what they've done, but they have certainly swallowed a pill that is going to bring a little bit more discipline, a little more accountability. And of course, they think that they're just going to make a bunch more money in fees, when in reality, they are now going to be accountable to a scarce asset, like we were pre-1971 when the dollar was tied to gold. So it's going to take some time before we realize that, and the economy, kind of snaps back into compliance with reality. But in the meantime, the economy will continue to spiral out of control as it continues to use the printer of the Federal Reserve as fuel for a fake and distorted queue of statistics and prices that ultimately we don't even know really what's going on in this economy. That was quite a lead into this clip, wasn't it? Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's take a listen.
I believe it goes up if the world is more frightened, if people have fearful of geopolitical risk, they're fearful of their own risk. It's no different than what gold represented over thousands of years. It is a asset class that protects you.
Right.
And unlike gold, where we manufacture new gold, we're almost at the ceiling of the amount of Bitcoin that we created.
When you hear somebody like Cathie Wood,
yes,
who was on our broadcast yesterday, say
right, that
her base case is that this turns into a $600,000 a Bitcoin valuation, base case, and a million plus in a super optimistic case. Are you anywhere in her realm?
I haven't thought about it. To me, that what we are trying to do is offer an instrument that can store wealth. I think if it gets that even close to that high, gold will represent even a bigger value. And let's be clear, if you think it's digital gold, there's going to be a reference point between gold and Bitcoin.
A lot to unpack there. That's an interesting one. Of course, he doesn't come out and agree, that 600,000 is in the cards, as Cathie Woods has predicted as a base case. Again, that's not even her bullish prediction. Bullish prediction is $1.5 million Bitcoin by 2030. But he doesn't disagree with it, right? He says, I haven't really thought about it. That's complete gobbledygook. Tell me in the comments, do you think that Larry Fink has thought about what a price prediction for Bitcoin could be? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Is he completely full of hot air here, or does he genuinely have so much on his mind that he doesn't think about what his Bitcoin bags could go to one day, like you and I do? Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. It's pretty insane. We've got a story here. It's really probably not going to affect your portfolio very much, but it kind of shows the might and the strength that crypto is starting to show. Let's get into some of the details here. CoinShares exercises option to buy Bitcoin ETF provider Valkyrie to add U.S. arm. That's quite a headline right there. Let's go ahead and get into some of the details surrounding this one here. CoinShares, based in St. Helier, Jersey, secured the option on Valkyrie funds in November and said on Friday the decision to exercise it was a direct result of the Securities and Exchange Commission approving the listing of the spot Bitcoin ETFs, including Valkyrie's Bitcoin fund. The ETF debut on Thursday saw 4.6 billion notched up in trading volume, with BRR, that's the ticker for it, for the Valkyrie one, BRRR, Bravo, Romeo, accounting for 9.3 million. Bitcoin surged over 49,000, as we all watched briefly, after the start of trading, then sank to as low as 45,700. Sad face. As the initial euphoria wore off, of course, yes. But this is pretty historic here, guys. So they're saying that their expertise has enabled them to dominate the European market, commanding over 40% of all assets under management in crypto ETPs, exchange trade products. That's pretty impressive. Exercising their option to acquire Valkyrie funds aims to extend their European success in the U.S. So this is pretty big. This is pretty significant to see a crypto company, kind of acquiring a traditional Wall Street institution. So it's pretty big, and I think that this is not the end of this trend. I think it's only the beginning. Let me know in the chat, do the BROZ recall a crypto company acquiring a pretty massive institution like Valkyrie in the past? I don't surprisingly, there's nothing really that comes to mind. I guess the only thing that would count would be, Bitcoin claiming the hearts and minds of true believers in freedom. Might be a bit of a stretch there for what I'm looking for. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to end off the news section here on kind of a funny, somewhat pessimistic, kind of cynical note here. And then we'll take a look at the charts and look at maybe a couple of altcoins. Shout them out now because we do have about 10 minutes before I'm going to sign off and hand it over to Piper over at the Piper Academy with TradeFly NOC. And I believe, you guys are in for a treat. That's right. So Piper Academy has on none other than he's got Crypto Archie. So Crypto Archie was on the show just a couple days ago. He was on with me Wednesday, as you can see here. If you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch this as well. Crypto Archie and I had a lot of fun, but honestly, you're gonna have a lot more fun going over to Piper Academy right after this show. It's just a YouTube channel called Piper Academy. Honestly, you've probably heard of it, and you've just been putting it off going and checking it out. We'll put it off no more. Now you have every reason in the world to go, is not just because TradeFly is going to be there, but also Crypto Archie's going to be there, and it's going to be an absolute explosion of crypto enthusiasm and fun and knowledge. Go ahead and check it out, guys. It is going to be cool. I will certainly be watching along. Piper's really intelligent, so he's probably going to have some pretty interesting questions to ask Archie about some of the gems that he's got. So I'm going to be tuning in and seeing what is up over there. Well, I mentioned that this was kind of a cynical story here. It is, and it comes from Elizabeth Warren. The SEC is wrong on the law and wrong on the policy with respect to the Bitcoin ETF decision. If the SEC is going to let crypto burrow even deeper into our financial system, then it's more urgent than ever that crypto follow basic anti-money laundering rules. But she got a community note. So the SEC acted in accordance to new circumstances brought up by the judge in Grayscale Investment, LLC versus SEC, right? This is admitted by SEC Chair Gary Gensler. So she doesn't even know the laws, right, of the country she's a senator in. She's not even abreast of that. Or perhaps she's being incentivized in one way or another to conveniently forget about recent judicial outcomes that affect the very subject she's attempting to tweet about. It's sad. The state of incentivization of politicians in our country. But c'est la vie. That's where we found ourselves. And unfortunately, without some very heavy lifting, I don't know that trend is going to reverse anytime soon. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of charts here. Let me see. Somebody shouted out DOT, OP. Let's see what the first one was, though. Looks like the first one was Link. How's Link looking for re-entry? Let's take a look at Chainlink here. Now, I haven't put my eyes on Chainlink in a while. I'm going to start off on the 4 hour here and take a look at it. So Link, really since 2000. Well, let's see. I'd say not a ton jumping out at me right immediately, but ultimately, I think it's spent the majority of the time of 2024 in the kind of the bearish zone of the Ichimoku, right below the zero line, if you will, and even in that bearish zone hasn't spent any time in the bullish zone for 2024. It looked like it started 2024 just barely in the green there, but I'm sure you're looking for. It looks like C90 FTW is looking for a re-entry for Ethereum. For Chainlink. Yeah, I mean, right now the 4 hour is not telling me a whole lot. It looks like it's cooled down. The buying pressure has cooled down on the MACD, but the MACD lines, they look like they could be getting ready for a bearish cross where you would be able to get a re-entry, right? The question is kind of, do you buy now? Is this the lowest price you'll be able to buy Chainlink ever again, or will it go lower and you get a more favorable entry? Kind of looking at these charts, again, I don't spend a ton of time looking at the Chainlink charts. It's one that I kind of just DCA and don't try to trade at all. But ultimately, I'd say that this might actually be a decent entry, because if you look prices in 2023, it didn't really dip down below $13.08 very much, $13.08. It was only towards the very, very end of the year that there was that sell-off, and then it spent a good amount of time below this line of resistance here. But then it was able to break it, flip it back into support. So my guess is that we don't really go back down below 13.9 again. So, but I would be watching that level. I would watch a level to come back here and test. I don't have it drawn, but you can kind of see where my cursor is making a line here around that 13.5 to 13.9 level. Anything in there would be great. Obviously, 13.5 would be more favorable. But then you also have some support here put in by not just this high back here on January 8th, but also the midline of the Bollinger Band, and that would put it around 14.4, 14.5. It might get bought up before 14.4. So that's what I would be taking a look at there. As of right now, if you don't have any exposure to Link as an investor, not in financial advice, but I would get some, right? You're a little bit behind. I think Chainlink's going to do very, very well in 2024. And I also think it's one of the least risky crypto assets out there because it's very foundational. It's a good framework coin. With that said, it's a little bit overbought right now for this move. That would be indicated by the Ichimoku and the MACD lines, but it's really not heavily overbought, right? It's only just a little bit, as you can see here on the MACD. And the MACD isn't really a great indication of under or overbought, but you can kind of use the MACD lines as that indicator a little bit. As you can see back here in November of 2023, way more overbought than we are now. Right, this is kind of a routine level where we've seen the MACD lines come up and peak several times, but those did obviously kind of show a high that then became, a move lower each time. So that's something to keep in mind. These MACD lines are getting a little hot, but it's also a time where crypto, it makes sense for it to get hot, right? And in crypto, once things get hot, it cannot stop, right? So you could say it's a decent spot to enter if you have zero exposure. Probably not the best spot if you're just swing trading cryptos. I think there's much better opportunities out there. Case in point is going to be Kaspa, right? I think Kaspa's it's actually kind of at a similar where it could come back down and test a bit lower, or it could go ahead and penetrate back through. But I think we had a really good chance to do that yesterday. Remember, I'm on the 4-hour here. We had a chance to do that yesterday, but we only got a wick into that zone above 13.5. So, 12.5. So, my optimism is limited for Kaspa right now. It hasn't, I think that probably a move lower is what feels natural before it tries to make another move to get back up above 12.5. Now, if Ethereum starts pumping heavy, that might start to change because there'll be a rush into altcoins. Depending on why Ethereum is pumping heavy. So that's a little bit of analysis, a little bit of thought, a little bit of trade psychology weaved all the way in there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and sign it off with a couple of seconds early here. I've been T-Shroom, and we'll be live again at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And guys, we've got a double treat day for you. You've got Crypto Archie right now. He's about to start over on Piper Academy. And then we have Caleb Franzen on today. That's right. Economic, brilliant mind. He's also been trading crypto quite a lot if you go follow him over on Twitter. So we're going to have Caleb Franzen on 3 p.m. today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Caleb Franzen was one of the first guests that I ever had back over at Coffee and Crypto when I was on that show, and absolutely love the man. Been seeing his entire career post his tenure in Wall Street. So it's a lot of fun. Caleb Franzen, Crypto Archie, what more could you ask from the bros? Go ahead and tune in right now to Crypto Archie. He'll be over there on Army Piper's channel, Piper Academy, in case you haven't figured that out yet by watching the show. See you at 3, bros.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego. Connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego. Connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.